Welcome to 2022. This is Polly, I'm Bree, and we wanted to make a video to start off the new year and let you guys in on what really happened when we tried to go to Italy in July last year.
So a quick background of who we are. We both are Italian and we come from very Italian families. Bree's been to Italy to visit family that lives in Italy, and I've never been to Italy yet, so I can't really say.
But we both decided that this was the next step in our blogging career since we had started, so we were 6 months in. So it was the next step.
And we definitely thought that this would be a big move for us because we had plans to start in Italy for a couple weeks and we'd go to Greece, Croatia, and then we'd end in Turkey.
So we had a huge trip planned.
So getting right into it on, July 21st at 11 p.m. We flew nonstop from JFK to Malpensa Airport, which is the airport in Milan, and we flew Emirates.
Yeah, and here's a really cute picture of my mom dropping us off with her best friend to the airport.
So everything went smoothly. We checked in, we showed them our negative PCR tests, we did our luggage, we did everything. We went to security.
Yeah, everything was fine. And then we got on the plane and we noticed when we were actually sitting there that it was completely empty while we were sitting there. Like, empty. I think there were like 5 other people on the plane with us. So we were like, oh my gosh, what if we can upgrade our seats? So I went up to one of the flight attendants. I gave her my passport, which is super important. I gave her my passport when we got on the plane and I said, I would love to upgrade our seats if it's possible. And she went through her little screen on her iPad, scanned our passports, and she said, so for you guys, it'll be $3,000.
$3,000. We said
upgrade our seats. And I said,
nope.
I'll be in coach, but thanks.
I'll be in the back of the plane.
Yep. So we went to the back of the plane, got our seats, which ended up being perfect because we had an entire row of seats to ourselves. We put our stuff in the overhead bin, went to sleep right away, got our amazing food. Everything was good. And we woke up and that's when everything started going downhill from there.
Literally because the plane goes down to land.
Okay. It's terrible. When we got off the plane, I kind of was pissed at Polly because I was like, you're insane. How did you sleep through that whole flight? Because I slept for most of the flight, but a lot of the flight had turbulence. So I was like nudging Polly and I was like turning around the seat when he was laying down. I was like, hey, like, what are you doing?
Turbulence does not affect me at all. I was knocked out, did not wake up.
It was a little bit of a rocky flight, which also is important. So we get off the flight, everything is good. We go into the security line. It's up to the customs checkpoint and you have to get like your passport out and everything. Like
that's where they stamp it so they can go into Italy.
Yeah, we get up to that point and I'm going through my bag and I look down and I'm like, what the heck? Why is my passport like not on top where I put it, like in my bag? And my bag zips. And I looked at Polly and I was like, do you have my passport? And
nope. I said, no, I do not.
I was like, oh my God. And I started panicking. And I dumped my bag out on the floor of the airport. Yes, I know it's disgusting, but I literally dumped my bag out on the airport floor. And then I had my backpack on. I dump out that. Everything's on the floor. And I'm like, I will be right back. And I put everything back in my bag really quick. And I run to the gate. I don't know what you did. You went to find some. I was like, go find somebody at security. Everything was so stressful.
Yeah, so like she was saying, she ran back to go to the gate and then I was just kind of like standing there. So there was this one Italian helper lady. She just had like a vest that says airport on it. So I was like, scusi, because I know very little Italian. And then she was like, see? I'm like, all right, here we go. So then I kind of was just telling her everything that was going on, that the whole passport was missing. It's like, what do we do? So then she was trying to contact everyone that she could, whether it was any airport official, the customs, but she was trying to get a hold of the Emirates officials because we just got off of the Emirates flight. So she thought that that would be the best contact because if it's on the plane, then we could just go to the plane or she can and we can get the passport.
So I went to the plane because we split up. I ran to the door where we had just gotten off the flight and I'm banging on this door and I'm like, somebody please open it. And it was like those automatic doors, like when you walk into like a Walgreens or a CVS and they like open or close. And it was like one of those, but it didn't open from this side, only when you were walking out. So I'm banging on these clear doors and some guy comes out of the plane and he's like, hello. And I'm like, can you please help me? And he's like, hello. And I'm like, no, help, come here. And he was like, mm-mm. And I was like, oh my God, no, this plane is gonna leave and go to Dubai because it was a connecting flight from JFK to Milan to Dubai.
Yeah,
and
so
I was
left
like,
right after.
Oh no, Polly's gonna kill me. So
let's think about it.
I was banging on his door and finally all the flight attendants start coming down the aisle. I think the pilots were in back of them too, so everybody's getting off the plane at once. And now I'm really nervous because I'm like, I'm gonna look like an idiot. I don't know if any of these people speak English. A ton of them start walking past me. I was like, well, I'm just gonna have to find someone that looks nice. And I went up to the lady that I actually asked for the seat upgrade. And I was like, hi, do you remember me? I asked for the seat upgrade and I think my passport got left on the plane. I don't have it with me. And she was like, oh no, I'll go look. And she dropped all of her stuff. Nicest lady ever. And one of her coworkers and a pilot ran back on the plane. They were there for like 10-15 minutes. And while we were there, some of the people that walked past me noticed what was going on. And some of the flight attendants were like, well, did you check your bag? I was like, no, I did not check my bag. And they were like, well, can you dump it out? So again, dump my bag out on the airport floor. Disgusting. I dump everything out. They see that it's not there and they're like, wow, okay, so hopefully they find it. They come back. They did not find it. And at this point, I am about to burst into tears. I'm so upset.
So then after that, they go with Brie and they start walking towards the Italian immigration, the customs. And that's when like we all grouped together.
Everybody kind of just found each other at once. It was
the Emirates officials, Brie, me, that lady that was helping me, were literally all just like on this walkway. And they're like, well, do you have the passport? Can you empty your bag? I'm like, don't you think I would have like found it or just checked by now? So I had to empty out my stuff.
And then they asked me to empty out my bag again.
Together, so we're like both in the same area.
All of our stuff is on the airport floor in this big circle and we're like, it is not here. Can we please be allowed to go back on the plane? The flight attendants and the pilot had to go. They were like, we have to go catch our connecting flight. And we're like, all right, well, thank you so much for your help. The security lady was like, I don't know what we can do. Let's go find the customs department.
And at the time, the Emirates flight attendant said it must have been stolen or something because they told us that a American passport is a hot commodity, I guess, because it's for some odd reason.
Yeah, very valuable. And they were like, I hope no one stole it. And I was like, there was no one on this flight. There were like 5 other people, like I said. We go to this customs guy and the lady starts speaking to him in Italian. No idea what she said, but she said something along the lines of, she doesn't have her passport. What can she do? The guy said nothing. I don't remember what he looked like.
He just like shook his head. I was in tears. It was like no passport, no entry.
And I just burst into tears and all the stress just came out. And this guy jumps up from his seat and he's like, no, don't cry, don't cry. And all of a sudden he speaks English and he's like, all right, we're going to figure this out. And I was like, wow, crying actually got me somewhere. This guy jumps out, he's calling everybody, speaking, yelling in Italian, trying to help, trying to get this plane not to go to Dubai yet. We go to the Emirates. It was like a stand and it just said Emirates on it. And there was this manager, this guy behind it. The security guard starts talking to him and he starts yelling and saying all of these really terrible things like,
yeah, that guy was mean. He was rude.
Your fault. Like, I can't do anything. You need to get on this plane in 20 minutes. You're causing us so much money. Screaming at us and making this situation even more of a living hell. I obviously broke down and started bawling my eyes out again. I was like, I cannot believe this guy's being so rude to me. And then Polly starts screaming at him for being rude to me. Then the police officer starts yelling at the Emirates guy for being rude and telling him that he's trying to help us and to let him back on the plane or to let me back on the plane to look for it. And he said the cleaning crew went on and if the flight attendants went on, then it's not there. Someone stole it.
But it's like, how hard did they really look? You know, it's one thing they could just be like, no, don't
obviously
see it.
I'm gonna look really hard. We did our best to try to figure it out, try and figure out what they were saying, and we honestly don't know what to tell you because they were the officer and the Emirates guy.
This is our cat.
This is our cat. They were screaming at each other and we're like, oh my god, like this very nice police officer, if he ever watches this somehow, thank you for trying to help us.
And we miss you. We'll be back soon.
Yeah. He was very nice and he said, all right, we got to take you to the office and try and figure this out. At this point, Polly's kind of talking with him and I'm like, well, wait a second, why don't we call my uncle who lives there, see if he can do anything? So I call my uncle, I call my dad. They're going back and forth trying to figure out if they can do anything. Polly calls the Emirates person.
So I called the U.S. Embassy in Milan, Italy, because I was like, oh, we're stuck, we're stranded, we don't have the passport, like you have to help us. Is there any way we can get like an expedited passport or just any proof of validation that Brie's an American citizen, that she's not a criminal, she's not a fugitive on the run, any possible thing that we can get us into Italy.
You talked to someone
yeah.
and they hung up on him.
But yeah, they hung up the first time and then I recalled back a different number, finally got a hold of another person. Pretty much long story short, their reasoning was that we were in what's called no man's land. So we were never permitted into Italy. Therefore, we cannot have the assistance of an American embassy because like we were in no man's land. Let's say we were in Italy and we like had a 2-week trip and we lost our passport halfway, then the embassy would be able to help us because we were in the country of Italy. Like I said, we were never allowed, so
really they couldn't do anything and we definitely don't blame them. We're sitting there and I'm really upset. This is a good time to let you guys know my dad's kind of humor. He says, well, do you think maybe you can act like you're getting really sick? Do you think you could just jump across the border? Are you kidding me?
He's like, can you do something that
So
can
I
get
just
you
hand
arrested?
the phone to Polly,
Oh.
and I'm like, can you just deal with this? My dad asks to speak to the police officer and asks like what's going on. My uncle's talking to all of them on the phone because he lives there, and my passport is somewhere on that plane, somewhere in someone's hands, stolen. We have no idea at this point.
And the Italian officer tried going back on the plane himself, but since the plane was property of United Arab Emirates, that no one could go back on it because they think that once you're in like the terminal or just the airport, that you could have like some sort of dangerous item and go back on the plane and just disrupt the flight. So that's why they said
You're just not allowed.
Yeah.
No one's allowed. So there was nothing that he could do, even though he tried very hard. This is when the Emirates guy started screaming at the officer, and it was a pretty awkward scene to be a part of.
Because at this point, the rule was, since Brie was not allowed into Italy, she had to go back on the next flight back to America.
So he was like, you need to get on this next flight in 20 minutes. And I'm like, hold on. We can call our embassy and see if they can do anything for us. After that whole scenario happened and he probably got hung up on and everything. And we're sitting in this...
Yeah, we were like in the immigration office.
Yeah, they were like, it was barred. It was, like an office, but it had bars on the outside. So it was not super friendly environment. But this guy comes over to me and he holds a camera and he says, I need to come take a picture of you because we're sending you back to America. I was like... okay, I'm coming. And I was like, can I just like wash my face or like wipe my eyes or something? Because I had mascara like running down my eyes. We go to this back room. He comes, it was like an ancient old camera, and he goes right up to my face while I'm bawling my eyes out. Which I'm sure you've seen because it's the thumbnail clip.
Good memory to have. It'll be
really great.
The postcard when we get older.
Really great. We're sitting there. They think Polly's staying in Italy.
because I have my passport, so they said, sir, you can stay in Italy. You could do whatever you want.
Yeah, he's like, you're ready to
Miss,
go?
you have to
can
go home.
So...
Yeah, and they told Brie that she has to go home. I was debating it, but no, I didn't. So I obviously went with Brie. But before that, an Italian officer would have to accompany Brie to go back to America, or Emirates would have been fined $5,000. So they wanted me to go back so they can, one, avoid a $5,000 fine, and two, I'd have to pay for a ticket. I said, no. How many open seats are on this plane? Because like she was saying earlier, the plane ride to Italy was empty. I can't imagine that the plane ride back would be full.
Yeah, and it was.
She said there was about 200 open seats. So I was like, if there's 200 open seats, why do I have to pay almost $600 for this plane ticket right now? I said, you can't just do favored under the circumstances or just anything. They said, no, you have to pay or you're staying here. The plane's going to leave. She's on it. I'm like, are you joking? So I ended up just saying, you know what, screw it. I paid for my ticket.
One of the officers had to run and grab our luggage from the baggage claim.
Yeah.
We had our luggage. We're running through the airport. And here's another picture of Polly running through the airport because now the officer is escorting us to our terminal, escorting us to our seats on the plane. They had to tell all the flight attendants why I was there, and I had to hand them papers that they had to sign.
You think she's like a wanted fugitive or
yeah,
something?
it was really intense. And we get to America, we get escorted off the plane and directly to customs, where my dad had already called and he said, my daughter's coming in, you should expect her. And they were like, oh, well, you're an American citizen, so you're welcome here.
Yeah, we thought we were gonna get into this whole like big scene that you don't have your passport, we gotta prove that you're here, a citizen, you live in Connecticut, wherever.
I just had to hand in my license.
Yeah, they're like, well, do you have your license? Like, yeah. She's like crying again. Yeah, here, all right, you guys are fine. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, so luckily America was nice to us in America.
But that's not the end of the story. There's more.
Yes, of course there's more. So my brother calls us up and he's like, hey, I heard what happened. I'm in Cape Cod. I know Cape Cod's no Italy, but why don't you guys come and just have a good time? And there's an extra bedroom for you. So we're like, thank you so much. Of course we'll come. So we drive all the way up to Cape Cod, and this is 24 hours after we get home. Not even.
Yeah, next night.
Yeah.
Next day, whatever.
So we go to sleep. We wake up. First thing in the morning, maybe 6:30 a.m., we get a call.
From a New York number.
Yeah, and I'm confused because my passport's stolen. I had worked all night to try and get a new passport, and...
But because of COVID, like, they shut down certain certain assets of like the passport offices, so like it was just an unreal amount of time to get a new passport, and even just say that it was lost.
6 weeks to even get an appointment to get a new passport.
Mm-hmm. And
so
they said up to 18 months to get the passport.
I pick it up and I'm like, hello, who is this? I'm like, hello, this is Emirates. We're calling because we found your passport in Dubai. I was like, what? He's listening to this, shoots right up in bed. He's like, what?
Found the passport on the connecting plane that stopped in Milan, then went right to Dubai, and they were like, you guys must be so happy. It'll be on the next flight back to JFK, and then you guys can go pick it up.
I am still shocked that it went down like this. I said, I can't believe this. You guys told me it was stolen, and I should be in Italy right now. I I don't understand. They're like, oh, well, it was right on the seat.
Like I said before, they told us they checked, but how hard did they really check? No one really cares unless it's their own possession.
Yeah. So, I mean, these flight attendants went on. How was it just right on the seat and no one saw it? And it was zipped in my bag. So this is just... A lot of things don't add up in the story, and it still doesn't make a ton of sense to us.
The world may never know what happened to the passport that day.
Yeah, so we picked it up, and we booked our trip to Turks and Caicos, and we had a ton of fun, and we're super happy that it happened that way.
Mm-hmm.
After that, we just ended up having to dispute all the charges.
So I'm like... We're not paying for this. If it's not like we forgot it in New York and we were landed in LA. It's not like we did anything wrong. We believe in that aspect. I mean, maybe you guys think differently, but we're like, if they told us that it was stolen, that there was nothing that we could do, all right, there's nothing that we can do. But if it was still on the plane, we're like, we should not be responsible for your guys'
mistake.
Yeah, your screw up.
You're helping and you're still big on your customer service and your thoroughness. And after putting us through all that stress at the airport and screaming at me, I just felt that service and the way we were treated wasn't proper. So to this day, 6 months later, it is just starting 2022. We still have not received some of our money back from that trip.
Still disputing it with American Express.
Which is why we thought it was super important to make this video as well. You need to be really careful traveling. Everybody makes it seem like it's this super amazing thing and nothing can go wrong, but things do go wrong. You really need to be careful because this could have gone way worse. We could have been stolen. We could have been in a really bad situation, but we were just super thankful that we made it back okay. Both our flights were safe. It was just a really long joyride.
Yeah, it's the longest joyride of our lives. Pretty much flew 8 hours to Italy, stayed there for about 5 hours, flew 8 hours back, and
we're just happy that we're back, and we're definitely gonna replan that trip and try it again.
Definitely for the spring or summer of 2022, because we definitely want to go to Italy, see everything that we wanted to see, but just part number 2, Italy 2.0.
Yeah,
we'll call it. But like Brie was saying earlier, we went to Turks and Caicos after that, so we'll throw that up here. And then our past 2 videos, we went to Alaska, and then we also did a 2-week road trip across America. So if you haven't seen that and you're new to the channel, definitely check it out. We'd love any feedback that you guys have. Yeah,
and we'd also love to know what you guys think about how we handled the situation, how you would have done it differently, and just leave it below in the comments and let us know what you think. But other than that,
if you have your own crazy travel stories, we definitely love to hear those in the comments too.
So let us know.
Interested to see what you guys have gone through.
Yeah, let us know, and we'll see you guys in the next adventure.
Yeah, but definitely enjoy 2022. Make it a good year, and
all right, guys, we'll see you next time.
Woo!